Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Penny Bloom.
Da, 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 da.
No.
Da, 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 da.
No.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to Winter is Blooming, a Game of Thrones rewatch podcast by us, the Penny Bloom Podcast. Today we are discussing a tough one, and I'll get to that in a moment. I am Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, buddy?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here. No, it's still a pleasure. Obviously.
Still a pleasure, but this one sucks. We're talking Season 3, Episode 9, The Reigns of Castamere, written by D&D, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, directed by David Nutter, the Nut Man.
A nut of an episode, that's for sure. We all know this one, you know, if this isn't your
We do.
Watch.
This is the Red Wedding for all of us here on Rewatch. This is spoilers as fuck, obviously. If you have not watched Game of Thrones and you are listening to this podcast along with your first watch of Game of Thrones, you're nuts.
This would be the worst episode to jump in as well.
Yes, yeah. I just want to give everyone a heads up. This is a rewatch podcast. We discuss everything in detail, how it affects stuff down the line, and we will jump into this episode full force. You know, if you haven't watched Game of Thrones and you're just listening along because you're interested, it's a fucking mistake. You got to watch it. I doubt any of you are doing that, but you know, I just got to cover all the bases.
Just in case. This one's an important one to cover, just in case. You know, you don't want to throw out a random blah blah blah. This happened. You know, I don't know.
No,
I don't want to be the person to ruin that for somebody,
exactly.
You know?
I just want to give everyone ample warning. Mm-hmm. You know, so yeah, spoilers as fuck. We're talking The Reigns of Castamere, Season 3, Episode 9. Yeah, fuck, man. This is one that's been a long time in the making. We've been dreading getting to this point for 29 weeks now.
Yeah, it's the episode that I think once you make it this far in the show, and it's like, and you get to the Red Wedding, there's no stopping now. Like, this is the point where I feel like the bingers start to fully go all out, you know, and you just rip it.
No, there's something about this episode that's something like evolves even before the Red Wedding. You know, like I remember watching this for the first time and thinking to myself, whenever Jon and Bran are in the same place at the same time, Arya is going to the same place at the same time, I'm like, it's finally all coming together. We're all going to see each other. Everything's going to be fine. Let's get it. No, you couldn't be more wrong, First Watch Colton. It's a fucking mistake.
And even on the third, fourth, whatever I'm on now, I'm still screaming at the TV like, just look outside. They're right there. Just go say hello. You know,
Bran does say hi. He doesn't say hi. He sees him.
Yeah, I wonder if that's like because he knows he's in either Shaggy Dog or who else is the other? What's Bran's?
Summer.
Shaggy Dog and Summer. So he knows he's in them and he knows he's controlling them. And he's like, yeah, I saw Jon. But like maybe he's thinking it's like a three-eyed raven like vision sort of thing. Like, that no way that it's actually, you know, Jon right there.
No, I think he knew.
You think?
Judging by the way he tells Rickon later on,
That's
I think
true.
he was kind of like,
oh no, that's true. But he got away. That is right. He did. Okay, no, that is.
They tried to kill him, but he got away, and it was
that
just
is
like,
true.
That's that. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Man, how many problems in this universe would be solved if they just like could text each other? You know, if Arya could just send a text to her mom or Rob right now and be like, "Hey, I'm looking at the twins right now. Like, hey, come out to meet me." But I mean, obviously they can't leave the wedding. But like, it would have just been a nice I don't know.
Quick little text from Arya. Hey, just saw a bunch of soldiers running towards the door. Might want to look out for that.
I don't know. But
yeah, no, this is a rough one. Let's take it location by location. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like very few locations, but still a beefy episode. Each one has a little bit to it. So let's start across the Narrow Sea in Yunkai. But before we do, today I've got a two-parter for my question of the day. And we're going to do the first part now, the second part later.
Okay.
After this episode is over, how many characters which have appeared in at least 5 episodes have died?
After this episode?
After this one, how many characters that have appeared in at least 5 episodes have died? I thought about doing 3. I could not do 3. Had to do 5.
So it's probably an ungodly number if it's...
If it's 3, it's fucking absurd. It would have taken me forever.
Okay. Oh, I know. We got Ned. We got Rob. We got Kat. I mean, those are 3 biggins. If I had to just throw a number, like out without kind of thinking about like every individual death, I'd say like 7 to 10 is what I would say.
What's your guess?
That might be too high.
For
5
the amount
episodes?
of characters that have appeared in at least 5 episodes.
That's a pretty big character. That might be too high.
It's notable.
7 was my gut. 10 was a stretch. I might 7 might be my like high actually, and then I might be like 5 to 7 is what I would say.
All right,
actually.
You are wrong.
Okay,
it is 21.
Okay, so I should have gone up. I went the wrong direction.
No, I was I was astonished and like my second part of this question, I will frame it in a way. We'll get there eventually, but like 21, it's a lot, and it's because there are a lot of characters that sneak there, that are like, I didn't realize they were in that many episodes. You know, they were just kind of there in the background at some point. They might not have had lines, but they were there. So like, there are plenty of characters who show up who are barely a part of the show that are there for 5 episodes, and then they fucking die. But yeah, so I think if it was 3, like I kept checking. That one's got to be 35 plus. Like it's got to be just absurd the amount of characters that have died. But yeah, so the amount of characters who appeared in at least 5 episodes who have died is 21, and that's just by my count. I did this in the 15 minutes before you got here, so like I might be a little bit off there, but I'm pretty sure I got it down to the right 21. But anywho, we will start in Yunkai today. Outside the walls of the city, Daenerys Targaryen and her commanders plan an attack on the city. Her newest captain, Daario Naharis, suggests a plan using a lightly defended back gate. And, his game, man, walks over behind her, directs her hand, points her where she needs to be. He goes, there, the back gate. A small group can infiltrate the city and open the main gates for the rest of the army to invade. And Jorah's like, all right, but you could be leading us to our deaths and taking out the top of our army, and then what happens then? You get all the money because you already killed your captains. You have a very skeptical mind, Jorah Mormont. I find that the most dishonest people think that way.
Is there a little jealousy coming from Jorah here? You know, because he's like,
fuck yeah.
He sees Daario walk in, you know, and it's like, damn, this dude's just hot as fuck. And obviously Daenerys likes him, you know, like, god damn it. And then he walks over, does the little map, you know, pointing her finger on the map, and he's just like, god dang, this guy's just too good. You know, I think like,
no, it's big time jealousy. I think it's more jealousy because he realizes that Daario is more a realistic option to Daenerys. Like he knows he's probably not even being considered. And he knows Daario has to be in the forefront of her mind, you know, like he's in the forefront of my mind, and I'm not there.
Oh, and we also get this episode, you know, this lightly guarded to him. You know, maybe this is what he thought actually as lightly guarded. This is what he expected fully. And he's like, yeah, this is easy. This is no problem. Like, this is actually lightly guarded. But like, he's also the best whistler out there. You know,
I am the best whistler in the world.
He has it like that. He's just also, he just. How will we know, you know, that it's you? Oh, You'll know.
Whistle.
I don't know. Just you'll hear. But like, yeah, this dude is just. I don't know. I don't know why they went with the actor change, which is real. I don't know. Like this dude
it was
just,
it was a scheduling conflict. I actually looked into this. Ed Skrein
okay.
actually had a different commitment that he was getting paid more to do.
Well, man, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'm glad that it wasn't like a creative or like oh no, this guy isn't what we think for the character. Let's get someone new. Like I'm kind of glad it is like that way. But man, I wish he could have stayed because
No, man, like this dude's like. There's a part in this episode later. We'll get to it because there's not much that happens in Yunkai, but so I'll explain it here in a moment. But that dude is just impeccable. And after this, Daenerys is convinced to try it after she asks Grey Worm if he trusts Sario. You know, I loved the getting Grey Worm involved. You know, like you are now a person who we have to.
Mm-hmm.
We don't just tell you to do things. We ask you if you think that's cool. We ask you if you think that's okay. And
he let out like a little smile, you know, too. Yeah, he was kind of like, wow, like kind of like it taken back, like, oh wow, like this is actually happening now, you know. And
I trust him. Sure, fuck it.
Yeah.
I also like to think that Grey Worm trusts him simply because Grey Worm knows that if it ends up being the case that he can't, I think Grey Worm's confident he can do something about it. I don't think it's just
we are talking all this talk about Dario, but
Grey Worm's like
you
that,
know,
bro.
I mean that's all that he does actually. You know, Dario, he can also fuck, he can also whistle. He has many other talents. Grey Worm, all of his skill points are put into being a soldier, you know, and now he's finally like being able to do his own thing. So like, I don't know, that'd be an interesting fight right now. You know, like I'm glad they're not fighting. You know, right now I like them. This whole like little council that they have going on, even though Jorah's a little jealous, like it's still, you know, they're questioning each other. They're making sure that they're not jumping into anything too quickly. You know, everything like this whole council she has going on is actually like, I don't know, it's working. It's working right now.
Well, and another thing that I really appreciated, you know, there's this moment where in previous episodes Jorah has openly questioned Daenerys or tried to counsel her after she's gotten in her final word. Like, this is what we're doing. But my grace. And she's like, no, shut the fuck up. You know, she goes, then you'll do it. You'll do it tonight. And he goes, very good. Let's do it. You know, like he doesn't want to, he doesn't agree with the idea, but she says yes. So he's like, yes, ma'am, we're on it, you know? And, I really liked that. And on their way out, Sir Barristan asks Jorah, you know, I believe you'll need an extra sword. And Jorah counsels him that as the Queen's guard, his place is at the Queen's side, regardless of his pride. And I was like, okay, I like that. See, we had this conversation, I think, last episode about, or maybe 2 episodes ago, about Miro and her being like, Barristan, if it comes to battle, kill that motherfucker first. And we were like, I wonder if that fucked with Jorah's head a little bit. And it's like, this is like an exact response to that. Is like he doesn't let it. He can't let it, or else it's like
there was an interesting. Dario says whenever the plan's being made, he says, "I will take your 2 best men or your 2 best swords with me to the gate." And
Jorah just assumes he's talking about
and then when I first heard this, I'm like, okay, so it's probably Barristan and Grey Worm, you know. Like that would probably be the 2 best swords, you know, because I guess Grey Worm was already kind of roped in there, but it was like your 2 best, your 2 best men. And then like Jorah just kind of, he's like, all right, so when are we going, you know? And I'm kind of like, ooh, I wonder if that actually was the 2 men he was actually like asking for. Because I don't know, it is, did Barristan, like he did swear and like to Daenerys and everything, but like did she officially like only say like you are my queen, like
that's what he said he was swearing herself as. Okay. Like it would be my honor to be your Queen's guard.
Okay.
And
that makes sense then.
Well, and it also points out that Jorah is well aware that he never made a promise like that, and he's aware of his versatility in comparison to the Queen's Guard. He's like, you know, I can do things like this because I'm not Queen's Guard, because I don't have to stay by her side.
Kind of like a passive aggressive way for Jorah to like tell Barristan to stay here, you know, like he's saying like a very honorable thing, and like, yeah, we have to uphold our honor, and you have to protect the queen, everything, but it's also kind of like, you stay here and let me go do the dirty, you know, like dirty work sort of thing. Like the 2 best swords will be taken tonight. I don't know, like I felt like it was kind of a way for Jorah to be like, hey, you stay, I don't know, like, very honorable what you're doing, but I'll go and actually do the fun stuff that you want to do,
That might be the case. I also kind of interpreted this because we are talking about the jealousy thing. Like, Jorah wants to prove he can keep up. Like, he doesn't want to, doesn't want to appear as the old man who has to stick behind and doesn't get to do things. He's like, if Dario's going to do that shit, I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Fair.
Gotta at least put to myself, and I don't think that's the energy he's putting off or what he's like directing in Barristan's face, but that is part of the motivation, I think, in him assuming he's talking about him. And I think it's like, oh yeah, you want the two best swords? Fuck it, I'm there. I'm in. Which I thought was cool. But regardless, that night, Jorah, Daario, and Grey Worm sneak into the city and fight their way through the slave soldiers guarding Yunkai. And there are far more soldiers than Daario anticipated, but much to Jorah's irritation. And it seems the three are evenly matched by these 30-plus men. Because, I don't know, we leave them like that. 3 versus 30.
Yeah. And
then we cut to the end of the battle and they've won.
So, they defeated that first wave, and they didn't even open the gates yet,
No.
Like, they weren't even there. So they had to kill all those people, go to the gates, open them up, and then let the army in, and then they fought still with the army and until the city gave up. And I was just like, wow. Obviously showing that on screen would
have been cool.
It's
but
like
it's
we
almost
got that for the Battle of the Blackwater. Taking a siege of a city, that's insane. There's so much going on at once. You have to make that a whole episode sort of thing. But it makes it even more badass when it's just yeah, we did exactly what we fucking said we were gonna do, and it worked.
And it looked like the fact that it looked like they were fucked. They were surrounded. There was no way out, and then they were like, let's do this shit. And then they won. That's badass as fuck. They were also going full Miami Heat, Braun and Wade back in the day whenever Jorah and Daario were just passing dudes back and forth.
Yeah, he literally they gave each other assists and they're like, all right, you get
badass.
This one, you get this guy, oh yeah, throw the throwing knife, to save Jorah, and then Jorah's like, all right, let me pass you up one, slice him in half, yeah, they were balling. They were having fun
for sure.
Yeah.
They were on one, but regardless, a few hours later, back in the tent, Daenerys is getting quite impatient and asks Barris, how long does sacking a city usually take? And then right then, Jorah pulls up with Grey Worm alongside, covered in dust and blood, but they're grinning widely. Yunkai is defeated. The city is ours, and Daenerys is elated. But the first thing she asks, much to Jorah's chagrin, and Daario Naharis. And the way you watched Jorah's face go from a full wide grin to just kind of, oh man,
really, I mean.
But this is the part that I was going to talk about a second ago when he walks in, kneels before her, and gives her the flag and goes, "The city is yours, my queen." I giggled, bro. I was I straight up went, I was like, he's so cute.
There's so much going on there, and you're feeling I don't know, you're just getting Jorah's reaction, but then on the other end, it's just I don't know, it was just, it felt good,
Yeah.
I think she was okay, I got what I needed, I knew it was going to happen, I'm still here, I have a dragon, she's not actually worried about the city, and I don't think really whatsoever. She's just worried.
She is more genuinely worried about her men. She's because if Daario and Grey Worm return, she does go, and Jorah Mormont. It's not like it's It's not like it's just because it's Daario. There's a certain tone that comes with it that's obviously she's missing Daario a little bit because he's sexy, but that's the thing that I think Jorah needs to open his mind up to a little bit, is that she's not worried about the city necessarily. She would like that. She would like to free the slaves. She would like to do all that. But what's most important to her right now is that the people who are closest to her make it out. And if it is Grey Worm, if it's Jorah and Daario that return, she'd go and Grey Worm. That's
yeah.
No matter who it is, that's what she's asking.
Yeah, and every guy that's by her side right now on her council is like doing their part, perfectly. And like Barristan, like just being that badass of a sword at her side at all times, she's protected, even though that she doesn't really need that, and she proves it that she can handle her own. But like Jorah's like conflict is like he's playing the role that he's supposed to, but he just wants more. He just like it's himself that wants more, and that's like where the trouble just falls. It's like she has desires, obviously, and Dario's kind of the guy that's going to fill those now. It's not going to come from you, Jorah. It's just how the world works.
Yep.
I don't know, but I don't know. This was a good, just feel good moment at the end. She, even though I don't know how many people died in that city, whatever, like her no use of a dragon, at all, and she was just there the whole time. So like a good victory for Jorah and Grey Worm and Dario to go out.
What's cool about the like elation that Jorah is expressing whenever he gets there, he's like, the reason they didn't, have to make it through all those men is because he goes, their slave soldiers laid down their swords. They were down, like they were like, we get it, let's do this shit. We've heard tale of the breaker of chains, Daenerys Targaryen. Fucking let's do this shit. Like that's really cool. And I think that there's this element to it that's not just excitement about winning a battle. It's this kind of like they have a cause and they believe in that cause, and they're doing everything they can to follow through on it. And whenever it goes their way, it's a huge victory. So like that's really cool. But
and check that out at Yunkai in the Red Wedding episode. Don't remember that at all, on rewatch, like coming into this. But I'm like, oh man, what a great moment to check.
What a great little story, man. That was the shit. And it was like big, it was a battle. It was the sacking of a city.
What is this, her third? Like how many?
Yeah.
Second,
Astapor,
maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just Astapor and Yunkai right now.
I guess city-wise, yeah.
Karth. She also took Karth.
That's true. Okay, so number 3. That's right. Now, let me get Daenerys up here. Let's go. We're in episode...
Only 2 that she's had to do the force to take it. Because Karth, Zarazo and Doxus and Pyat Pri did most of the work, and then she just had to kill them.
Very true. Yes. Astapor... Yeah, nothing before. Yeah, from Karth to Astapor to Yunkai. And then now we are on to Meereen. I guess, do we stay in Yunkai a little bit? Or does she just push on? Does she just
we just keep going. I think next episode we are in Yunkai, at least briefly, because I think this is officially when she becomes the breaker of chains. I think she frees the city of Yunkai, and then that's the end of the season.
Man, it's so different to frame it as like, I don't know why I didn't see it before, but like she's just on her conquest. Like she has like from Karth, like she was at the lowest of low, like almost dead, and like she pulled up there. But like from that moment on, when she like had her dragons back and did everything at Karth, like from that moment on, she's just been on a tear, and like everything is going her way. Like at Astapor, like no problem, just gone through easy. Yunkai, easy. Like all of this is just like she is, but it's like she has
setbacks. Like that's what's so compelling about the reason shit happens the way it happens when she gets to Westeros, because she has setbacks. Of course, there's that point in the story wherever she flies off with Drogon because the Sons of the Harpy start tearing apart Meereen and stuff. And that's definitely a setback, but her men didn't die. She got flown off with to the Dothraki. She ends up taking them all under her wing. She turns that into a win, She takes what happened there and it ends up being a victory. She's on a tear here where she doesn't really lose. And then she gets to Westeros where everyone's like, nah, bro, we don't fuck with that. And it's just like, it all goes downhill from there, man. I love me some Daenerys, man.
I guess Breaker of Chains, that's episode 3 of season 4. And that is when she arrives to Meereen, actually. And that's the episode title. She starts to go to Meereen. It looks like episode 1 of season 4. But this is the Misa.
Misa.
This is the, like, everyone, like,
Everyone's
lifting her up
reaching
at the
towards
end
her,
and
and
stuff
we
like
pan
that.
up, and she's
Yeah,
like the center.
okay, that's right. And then
Yeah.
I wonder, the breaker of, like, what is that moment when she becomes the breaker of chains? Because I guess it happens in, but I don't remember that moment, I guess, right now, if there is one, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really know, but regardless.
Hmm.
Oh, I remember it, but
We got a ways to get there.
it'll be a little bit, and it's a good moment. It's a
Season 4,
strong one, so
yeah.
I'll let that. Because Grey Worm
Then-
infiltrates the city disguised as a slave, and he talks to the slaves as like, "You need to rise up, kill your masters," and they like write all over the walls, "Kill your masters." There's like a whole movement because Daenerys actually, I don't think Daenerys does anything during that. Like, Grey Worm leads a slave rebellion, and they kill their masters. Like, and I think that's when she becomes the breaker of chains, if I remember correctly. But nevertheless, we are now headed beyond the wall, where Sam and Gilly continue their march south after barely escaping an encounter with a White Walker. And Sam tells Gilly that they are a considerable distance west of Castle Black, but that isn't a problem because this means they're close to the Night Fort, the original headquarters of the Night's Watch. It was abandoned centuries ago because the organization's numbers dwindled and it was impossible to maintain. Sam explains that he plans to get them across the wall using a secret sally port, which he knows how to use, and it leads right into the Night Fort. And Gilly's like, "How do you fucking know all that, man?" He's like, "I read it in a very old book." You're a wizard.
Oh.
I love that.
Yeah, him, like, and then his reaction to that as well, like, wow, that's the first time someone has said reading in a book and
staring at marks on paper.
Like, every time he's like, "Oh, you read it in a book," that was the line that his brothers in the Night's Watch, they just hated hearing it because it's like, "Oh, okay, we get it. You're a know-it-all. You know everything. You read it in a book, whatever." But now he gets, Gilly to be like, "Man, you get all of that from some lines on a piece of paper, like what?" And you kind of look at, like, you kind of take a step back, and we take reading all that for granted, like, that's just something we but like, that's humans didn't know how to do that, like, not that long ago in human history.
Well,
like,
and that's the thing, is that no humans know how to do that until they are taught how to do that. You know what I'm saying?
That
like,
is kind of some magic, like, if you just spawned as like a 21-year-old and you were like sort of had a brain, but you just couldn't read, and you just saw like a book, you'd be like, that's a spell, that's some black magic, like, you'd be like,
yeah, right.
You're saying words like, "Hey, just reading like off of, I don't know, that'd be crazy." But like, I don't know, in our this day and age, we don't think about it that way. But
right.
I don't know, it's nice to have like a reminder as like, yeah, I can read, like, I'm not Davos in a cell, like, teach, he has to teach himself to read because that's actually like a hard skill during the time. But like, no, like, I don't know, I appreciate reading a whole lot more just recently. I've just been doing it a lot more just in my free time.
Love me some reading, man.
Yeah.
It's it's a great exercise for the mind. It's like the way that she puts it, you got all that from staring at marks on paper. And he's like, yeah, I did. And she's like, "You're a wizard."
Is this by chance like the because in the Bran storyline and stuff later, they're wondering how they're going to get north of the wall, and I forgot like actually how they do it. Is it with this secret passageway or whatever that they do get north of the wall that he brings up right here?
I don't believe so. If I remember correctly,
do they just go straight to Castle Black?
I think so, and I think Sam actually is at Castle Black when that happens, and he lets them through the wall before Jon gets back.
Okay, interesting. Because I was like, if like this was, I'm like, okay, that's why the crows were there, and this is why like Sam was saved, like off rip, because they needed this knowledge of like the passage to get through, or whatever.
I think Sam is the one who lets them through the wall.
So still
anyway. So there's still a possibility there, which is interesting. I hadn't considered that, but I loved this little scene whenever they get to the wall and she's in awe of it, and she's like, it's just so awkward whenever she's referring to her baby and she goes, "Our father once told us that
Yeah.
if any wildling who looked upon the wall would die or whatever the fuck," and she goes, "And here we are, still alive." I was like, "Oh, this it's kind of precious, it's sad, but it's precious."
Yeah. She's saying it in a very weird way where it's both depressing and a happy moment at the same time.
Right.
It's like, man, I get all your I'm just thinking of how she had to grow up and having, this kid and everything, but it's like, oh, now you're here and this is like your chance, like a new chance for a new life and everything. So it's a good moment. Yeah, I don't know. But that's the thing. All these little just check-ins with the other, non-Red Wedding people, we're just very nice, short and sweet, but very impactful for the characters at each location. So I don't know. Not a favorite though. No favorites, I think, from there.
Not quite. The next one is where we have a chance. In my opinion, we're in The Gift next, where Bran Stark and his group have passed far enough through the north that they have left the Seven Kingdoms proper and have entered into The Gift, a stretch of land south of the Wall, which was gifted to the Night's Watch so that they could sustain themselves for materials needed, farming, etc. And the Reeds are a bit puzzled because The Gift possesses a good arable land, but the countryside is, in fact, barren. There's nobody there. It's empty. And Bran explains, to Osha's discomfort, that that's because of wildlings. They come over or around the wall and they sack the land and cause people to flee. And the way Rickon's like, "Old Nan used to tell us that they would drink your blood out of your skulls." And
that's just what Old Nan would say, though. It's not real, obviously, right?
And then the way Osha's like, "Maybe we can have some blood to hold us over. I don't need much.
I only need a little." Yeah, she's so Osha's so
love
great.
me some Osha.
We actually got a line from Rickon, from
dude,
some lines, actually,
And this was one of those episodes where I was like, why haven't we been using Rickon a little bit more, man?
I guess he's obviously not up to the standard and the caliber of the other actors that are in the show, but they're full-grown adults, and that's what you expect from their role. But he's a kid in a kid's role that is, and
he does good in it.
He did great. I'm I don't know.
When he's like, "I'm your brother, I have to protect you."
It was cute.
It was cute,
yeah,
and it's not supposed to be anything more, it's supposed to be precious. You're supposed to go, "Aw, Rickon." It's not supposed to be like, he is putting on the performance of a lifetime. He's doing a good job. But nevertheless, after this, all the meanwhile, the Watch's diminishing numbers mean that they don't need that much support from the Gift anymore, explaining why they haven't encountered any Night's Watch brothers working the lands either. And Bran's group in an abandoned storm. And nearby, Jon Snow and the Wildling party encounter an old man who lives alone at a small farm where he breeds horses for the Night's Watch. And they're all planning to attack him and steal his horses and gold, but Jon's like, "Hey man, we can just steal the horses and shit. We don't need to kill this guy." And one of the funniest things to me is the way Orell and Tormund are or the way Orell's like, "I told you, he's still one of them." I don't think not wanting to kill a motherfucker necessarily means you're definitely a crow. You know what I'm saying?
I think we see it as it's just a nice, that's just a normal human trait to not want to kill someone, obviously. But I think in this time, wildlings are so beyond that they're just obviously we kill this guy. If you are a wildling, that is your mindset,
and that, thing. 100%, clearly, because that's how they respond to them. But I mean, that's so interesting to me that that makes him a Night's Watchman. Not necessarily they could say he's not one of us, but to expressly state he's one of them, that's interesting, I'm I don't know that inherent, there's a lot of fucked up Night's Watchmen, they kill people a lot.
he's not actively killing you. Well, he does because he has to like defend himself. But like he's not.
Himself.
He doesn't like. He's not actively trying to kill you all the other times. He's actually like
exactly
was cooperating and like actually listening to everything. So it's I think it's more of just like they're so ingrained with their mindset and they do that it's just that's how
their
they see it.
reasoning follows. You know, they're like, we need to kill this guy so he doesn't alert the Night's Watch that we're here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, I guess if you're fighting a war, that makes sense. However, when the party attacks, John goes ahead and hits a rock with his sword, alerting the horses and the old man.
Was kind of a nice little detail to throw in there. I don't know.
Oh, I love that. And
that's Valyrian steel. Maybe like it, it's like it rings
tings a certain way.
Like way more tingy, so the horses, knew. John doesn't know that, or maybe he does. I don't know. He's just like that, but
he's just like that. But
no, he does. He does anything he can to save, who we can. Just our hero.
And again, Ygritte is the only one with a chance to really kill this guy once he gets on his horse, and John goes, Ygritte. And it makes her hesitate long enough to hit a tree instead of him. And I appreciated that, There's this... They're just two star-crossed lovers, man. They come from very different paths, and she's still going to do the shit. But man...
She didn't want to. She wanted to, but like also, she didn't want to at the same time.
She wants to be by John's side as much as she can, but she doesn't want to give up who she is and who she's been. So there's like this balance she has to find, and she never finds it, sadly, but because she's not given a chance to. But
you ready for I had a crazy head. This is just my headcanon because there's no way this is anyone else's headcanon. But I'm thinking like during this whole interaction, how Bran and John, everyone was so close, but they didn't get to see each other. But Bran knows all of this way down the line, and he knows that this is how it's going to happen, whatever. So he has John be with Ygritte to allow this horse, whatever guy, to get off because he leads them to Bran and where they are at the tower so that Bran can see them through Shaggy Dog in summer. So like that guy from the horse stable needed to stay alive a little bit longer so he could lead John to Bran so that he could see him. And I'm like, okay, John stopped Ygritte from killing the guy, but really, if that tree wasn't there, that dude was dead. The shot was on. The tree just so happened to be in the way. That's the thing. The shot would have hit. So Bran, he planted that fucking tree ages before. John did his part by getting her to hesitate, but that tree that saved that horse stableman's life, that's what I thought whenever the arrow hit the tree. I'm like, oh yes, Bran planted this tree fucking 80 years ago for this moment, for this moment to happen.
And that's long gone.
There's a little window, I guess, into my mind when I'm watching, like rewatching, and Bran is in the scene, or like ever just when it's him and it's in the north, and whenever it hits storyline, I'm like, okay, what's he doing here?
What can he be doing? That's funny. That's funny. But nevertheless, after this, we cut to Bran, Jojen, and the crew over in the mill where they're discussing a plan to cross the wall. And that's just before Mira spots the old horse breeder riding nearby. After the old man is captured by the wildlings, Hodor, scared by thunder, begins yelling, Hodor, 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 which threatens to...
18, baby! We got 18
How many
Hodors
did we have before
episode.
This episode?
Okay, yes. We have it. I guarantee he did definitely, I said quadrupled his count. That might have been a little too much.
A little extreme.
Let's see.
But
1,
doubled at
2,
least.
3, 4, and then 5 from season 2, and then 4 from season 1. So, what did I say this season? So this season, so we've had 9, and his penis, I guess, was in season 1 if you want to count that. But specifically, Hodors that have been spoken, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 before this episode.
Damn.
So yeah, quadruple, little crazy, hyperbole there. But he did,
double. And some.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He went off this episode and was actually used as an actual character. It wasn't just dragging or carrying Bran. I don't know that Bran this showed a very specific power that he had, and everyone was like, "Yo, what the fuck? How did you?"
Yeah, Bran goes ahead and wargs into Hodor's mind so that he goes to sleep. Goes full Mantis on ego. Sleep.
Yeah.
Dropped like a bag of bricks, my man.
Mm-hmm.
Went to bed, and all the while outside, Tormund moves to kill the old man, but Orell is like, "No, have the crow do it." And Jon is like, "All right, yeah, all right, okay, yep. I got the sword at your throat." And the guy's like, "Man, she's sharp." And Jon's like, "Yeah, she is, man. All right, let's see." And he rears back, and he lets his sword fall. And as he does, Ygritte goes ahead and looses an arrow into the man's chest. And realizing that Jon is still loyal to the Night's Watch, Tormund orders his men to kill Jon. And Ygritte plans on fighting at Jon's side, which is love that
True.
for her.
It is only what Jon does to. Yeah, I guess Jon was the one who knocked her down and like got her out of the way.
If he doesn't knock her down, Tormund doesn't get to restrain her. You know,
yeah.
She was loading up the bow, ready to fight alongside him. I was like, okay. And Jon recognizes that with the bow in this situation, she stands no fucking chance. That's just an extremely unlikely scenario whenever everyone has swords and you're at extremely close range. So he knocks her over. Tormund restrains her, and this is my favorite scene. I went ahead and went a little bit more positive for my favorite scene simply because I love Jon and Ygritte's relationship. I love the way Ygritte was down to ride. I love the way Tormund is like, you're not going to die for him. You're not going to die for one of them. You know, like, this is our crew. You're with us. Don't let him blind you to what family is. And all the while, Bran wargs into Summer, attacks a wildling, and soon after all this, Jon battles with Orell. And as this happens, he finally kills Orell, telling him, "You were right the whole time."
Man, I'm glad you're giving this your scene, because I really wanted to spread as much Stark love as I could this episode, and I think you going with the scene, it was my other second scene. If I wasn't just going with, I don't even want to talk about it. I just have no in the box for my scene.
Yeah.
And it's just so well made that it has to be like, I don't know. It's the obvious choice, but like I have to give it like the scene nod. But like I'm glad I'll give Jon the character nod for this episode because he did hold true. Like even when he could have this was a nobody, he could have killed him and still like acted like he was still a wildling for a little. You know, he could have played a charade. You know, he did like it was so easy for him to kill this guy, but he still holds true in his honor and his word and everything. And I like even the before, like when he's talking to him, like when they're huddled behind the wall, it's like he's innocent, you know, like why kill him? You know, if you'll be, they'll send a few Night's Watchmen down for stolen horses and thieves, but they'll send an army or a lot more for murderers.
He goes, good.
Yeah, and then, you know, kind of played into their hand. He's like, well, that's exactly what we fucking want. Way easier to kill him out here. But
killing them in their castle, that's hard.
I do like
out here. That's what we do.
Yeah. Oh man, what a guy that. Yeah,
what an arc he goes on, man. You know that
true.
guy.
Yeah, I don't know what a crazy like split up like Jon's run. I like forget how everything happens. Like how he gets how all these people get back together and everything. I don't know. Like he's gone. I don't know what's gonna happen next. Really, I kind of forgot where it goes. So I'm kind of lost a little bit too.
Yeah, season 4, Jon. I'm I little blank on. Not entirely sure what happens for him in season 4. But anywho, I did want to point out a parallel because this breakdown doesn't go into a lot of what Arya and the Hound went through in this episode. I loved the parallels between Arya and Jon in this episode. Them both being like, "Don't kill this guy. Why would you kill this guy?
Okay.
Doesn't make any sense. He's innocent. Doesn't matter. There's this shadow, again, looming over this entire episode, and his name is Ned Stark.
Wow.
All of them, every character in the Stark family is affected by Ned in this episode without knowing they were affected by Ned in this episode. It's really strong.
I didn't notice the Arya and Jon parallel this episode, but now that you say it's 100% true.
They would bounce back and forth between their scenes specifically a lot, and it was really strong. You know, I thought that they're doing their best to make do, but also keep people alive and save people in the process. It's really compelling. But Jon, after getting clawed pretty badly by Orell's little bird that he gets inside the mind of, he jumps on the back of a horse and escapes, leaving Ygritte and heading back to the wall. And,
what a way to go out too for Orell. Like, actually to be like, all right, you stabbed me, I'm gonna get in this fucking crow and I'm gonna come at you still. You know, like I hate you this much, dude. Like, and that's what actually gets to Jon. You know, like actually does damage to him. When it's at guys with swords, nothing. You know, he's fine. Like, absolutely nothing. It's like, yeah, I haven't had to fight a bird yet. You know, that's something new. Now he knows. I guess maybe he's prepared for that now. I don't know. I don't know if maybe. There's no way another bird attacks Jon later on in the season, but it'd be hilarious if like later on he just sees a bird come down and just like just instantly slices it. But...
Yeah, I don't think that happens, but he would learn from this for sure. But Jon goes ahead and leaves Ygritte behind and heads back to the wall, and the betrayal on Ygritte's face, you know, Rose Leslie again. There's too many good performances in the next location that I couldn't give it to anyone anywhere else. But Rose Leslie, once again, I love her as Ygritte, and she does a fantastic job here. And she was, if there was anyone from a different location other than the Red Wedding, it would have been Rose Leslie. But there's still just a couple that are there that I can't overlook. But nevertheless, that night, Bran asks Osha to take Rickon to Last Hearth, the home of House Umber, while he, Mira, and Jojen head through the wall in search of the Three-Eyed Raven. And Rickon protests, you know, I have to protect you. And Bran's like, I am protecting you, though. Robb's at war. I'm heading north of the wall. If both of us die, you are the heir to Winterfell. You know, like, you got to stay alive.
Crazy thought experiment there too. Like, it's like, yeah, that kid would be the heir to the north.
Well, and what's just like, is that like the first time I'm watching this, Bran goes, this is what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes before Robb does die. Like, I'm sitting there watching this for the first time like, well, that's not going to happen. We're in a perfect place with Robb right now. Everything's fine. You know, like, that's how, like, I know we knew this was coming, so we are watching it through the lens of like, this was inevitable. This was always what was going to happen. But the first time you're watching this is like, wait a fucking minute. No fucking way. You know what I'm saying? Like, what an insane twist for a TV show to drop in on you 3 seasons deep. We're going to kill the guy you like the most in this show, his wife, his mom, and his family.
I felt so safe with Robb. Mm-hmm. Like, everyone did. That's why this episode hurts so bad, is like, you felt so safe because you just wanted him to win so bad. He was doing everything right. Just, it was going so well, you know, like, you know, started to go a little awry with, you know, a little beheading he had to do, and stuff like that. But you're still on his side. You know, you're still like, yeah, Robb is the one out of anyone that I'm going to root for. And yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, Ned. We felt safe with Ned, and then before season 1 is over, his head gets chopped off, you know, and then now you think Robb's going to be the guy to sit on the Iron Throne at the end of the show. You don't even know when that's going to be, how many more seasons it's going to be, but you didn't think he was going to die. Oh, this episode. Episode 9. They always get you in episode 9.
They always get you. The penultimate will always fuck you. It's just fucking heartbreaking. But this last time with the Osha and Rick.
Mm.
It'll be a while before we see them again. I believe, it might be a couple seasons. Like, I don't think we see them again until season 6, maybe.
Yeah, she does say, we'll go on some adventures together. The
Mhm.
adventures me and you are going to go on. And it was a cute little line. But a goodbye for now. But
Well, yeah, and I
Osha,
loved it, like, the moment Osha has had, like, all her goodbyes with, like, Lewin earlier in the show, and then this one, which is like, your family was kinder to me than they had any business being.
mm,
I will do this, I promise, and I'll take care of them, and everything's going
yeah.
to be fine.
And then looking at like, I don't know who she turned back to, maybe just kind of everyone in the
I think it
room,
was
but
Mira,
like,
specifically.
yeah.
Like, the beef they've had.
Yeah. But saying like, you better protect this one. He means the
Mhm.
world to me. You know, like
God.
that. I don't know. That was just like, oh
Love me
man,
some
like
Osha, man.
what? Yeah, and that's, I don't know, that was a great scene. You know, like you just think of this episode as the Red Wedding episode, but man, I don't know, that like tower or the mill. I don't know what you want to like call it. Just that moment was so strong. Just John being there, Bran having to warg and like actually do it for the first time. Be like, no, I can't do that. And it's like, well, you just fucking did with Hodor. Oh, well, it's no problem. Just do it. Like, there's so many things going on at once. It's so chaotic, but just, I don't know, especially on rewatch, you just get everything, like all the story that's behind it. But on first watch, it's probably like, holy fuck, what's just happening right here? But this time I could really just enjoy that, like, man, they're like 50 feet apart right now. And that's just good enough for me. You know, that I know they're not going to see each other. I know this isn't going to work out, but just them being in the same vicinity, Bran getting a little hello, you know, through Summer or Shaggy Dog.
Seeing his brother again
nice.
for the first time since season 1, episode 1.
Holy shit. Did he get pushed out?
Seen him since?
Yeah, he got pushed out episode 1, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, because John says goodbye to him in the second episode and heads for north of the wall. That's it.
Oh my god. Dang. Yeah, that's good enough. Good enough. Just a little hello that they got. Only Bran got it, really. You know, I guess John was probably like, "The fuck, these what the, this is."
John does see Rickon one more time.
Yeah, you're right. One more time.
John does see Rickon.
But John, I don't know. I guess John's seeing Summer and Shaggy Dog.
He was like there's a moment where he like kind of goes,
yeah, like, okay.
I don't have a lot of time to think about this, but those are a couple of dire wolves right there, and neither of them are mine. So I think like he's got to take some solace in knowing that somehow the Stark house watches over him, which is like it's really compelling. But that does take us to the Riverlands, the last location of the episode. And before we begin, earlier we established that there were 21 characters who have appeared in at least 5 episodes who have died. I want to know how many of those 21 you can name.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, Rob, Cat, Ned. Okay. Deaths. Who's died? How am I just like blanking on big? Okay, let me just think of. Karstark.
Yep.
Baratheon. Fucking
Robert.
Yeah. Rob.
You got 5 of the 21 so far.
I feel like, okay, Blackwater. Who died there? A lot of people died, but maybe not 5 episode people.
Nobody from the Blackwater who died that episode had appeared in 5 episodes. The closest was Mathos Seaworth, and he'd appeared in 4.
Renly?
Yes. There's 22.
Oh. Okay.
I'd forgotten about Renly. But good job. He had appeared in 5 episodes. So there was 22, not 21.
Roz?
Yes.
Now it's getting tough.
There's still a few that I know you know. There's a couple from this episode who you haven't named.
Because
so far you have Ned.
Blackfish made it out good. Yeah,
Yep.
he made it out. Edmure, he's in bed with his wife. Did they kill him?
No.
Yeah, no. I guess maybe Rob's wolf. I don't know if you're counting that.
I'm only counting humans.
Yeah. In this. Oh, Talisa. Hello.
Yes.
And Edard, little baby Edard.
I didn't.
When was his conception?
Him,
Nope, not 5 episodes long, I don't think. So even not Edard, not quite. Not in 5 episodes. Gotta be all
Ned
the
Stark,
Starks.
Robert Baratheon, Renly Baratheon, Rickard Stark, Roz, Catelyn, Robb, and Talisa. So you've got 8 of the now 22. You added one on for yourself, so good job there.
That's probably all I can get like right now. I'd have to take it like episode by episode basis if I wanted to continue, probably.
Okay. Well then, I can go ahead and list you all the other ones I have if you'd like.
Okay, I'm ready.
In episode 5, Jory Cassell died, who was Ned Stark's right-hand man who Jaime Lannister stabbed through the face.
Okay.
Viserys Targaryen, Daenerys' brother.
Okay. Yep.
Khal Drogo.
Crown for king. And the king. Yep. And Call. Oh, I should have got Call. I should have got that.
That was the only other one that I was like, I thought you would get, but
I should have got
fun.
him. Yeah,
Khal Drogo. The ones from season 1, if it's not Ned, are going to be hard to remember. You got Ned and Robert, and that's about as good as one can expect. One of Drogo's right hand men who he kills
by
in battle.
Drogo. Yeah. Okay.
Quotho.
Mm-hmm.
Maester Luwin.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was kind of going through like Winterfell, and I'm like, I felt like I think I got all the Starks, but there felt like there was someone else from Winterfell.
There's a couple from Winterfell. You got Maester Luwin and the Master at Arms Roderick Cassell.
Is that the beard tied together? I knew that too. Yeah, that okay.
Another Dothraki named Rakaro, the one who gets his head sent back to Daenerys in a bag.
Oh, sad. Yeah.
The 2 at Karth, Pyat Pri, and Zaro Zoandoxus.
Okay. Yeah.
Dorea, the one who gets locked in the vault with Zaro Zoandoxus, who teaches Daenerys how to fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Gior Mormont, Lord Commander of the Night's Watch.
That's fair. I probably should have gotten that one.
Dagmar, Theon's boy who kind of egged on his worst impulses. Yoren, the one who took Arya from King's Landing.
Mm-hmm.
And Orell, who just died a few seconds ago at the hands of Jon Snow.
Okay, this episode, hello. Oh, yeah, I guess. I just don't think of Orell as a big enough character to really care about.
No, and that's the other thing. Yeah. That's why I told you earlier. I was like, yeah, there's some that just kind of sneak in there.
Yeah.
There were only 2 or 3 that you didn't name that I thought you would get. And that was Drogo, Luwin, and Gior. Beyond that, I wasn't expecting anything. Because I sure as shit didn't expect you to go with Rakaro or Orell or any of those, or Quotho. I was like, you're not gonna get those, because I sure as shit wouldn't have if I hadn't looked into it right before I did this. But not bad. 8 out of 22.
I'll take it.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 out of 22. And you added one, so you kind of got my ass on that.
Extra credit. Yeah,
completely forgot about Renly Baratheon.
He was definitely in 5 episodes.
He was in plenty in season 1, and he died early on in season 2. But I gotta assume he was in 5. I'm gonna look into it just to check, because
I guess he might not have been, but because when he showed up, it was very brief.
I'm pretty sure he was only in 2 episodes in season 2, so I'm assuming he was in 3 episodes of season 1. Like,
yeah, he's doing like a small council meeting. I remember, like, just in King's Landing. And then, like, another episode, he, like, was just talking with someone before he left King's Landing. Maybe he's in 4. Maybe he's really only in 4. Maybe that's it. Not 5.
Let's see. We're going to find out here momentarily, because I got his IMDb pulled up. He was in 8. So.
Okay.
He was in episodes 3, 4, and 5. in season 2 and episodes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in season 1. So,
Okay. So, yeah.
good call. Was not
Cool.
thinking there. But yeah, Renly Baratheon, 8 out of 22. That concludes question of the day. So, next up, we are in the Riverlands, wherein, en route to the Twins, Robb consults with his mother about attacking Casterly Rock. And Robb claims that, it is a dangerous move, but if Tywin's castle is taken away from him, the Lords of Westeros will realize he is not invincible. And Catelyn points out that the plan requires the cooperation of Lord Frey, and in case reinforcements arrive from King's Landing before the castle is taken, the Stark host will be destroyed. And she silently examines the map, and she asks him, why are you telling me this? And he insists, you counseled me against sending Theon to go to his dad and ask him for help. Now Winterfell burns, and it's held by the Ironborn. Interesting note, as it's no longer held by the Ironborn. He
did say that?
I'm pretty sure.
He said, yeah, he did say Winterfell is... Maybe they just don't know? No, because they know that yeah,
Bolton was supposed to send his son, but that's
But they already took it back, and then didn't root. Oh, did they just not tell them?
There's a possibility. That's what was interesting to me. Because I was like, what if
did the Boltons
what if they don't
not...
even think Winterfell is in their hands anymore?
But Bolton was kind of... He would have had to kept that. It would have had to been a Roose Bolton thing that he kept to himself, because he knew for sure, right?
Yeah.
The word got to him, and he was he was one of the guys who was I don't know, kind of high up there, just talking with Robb and all the time and stuff, right? So yeah, no, wow. I wonder if he just never told him.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be an interesting. It's just another little interesting idea that if it's something in the back of Robb's mind that he doesn't know Winterfell was liberated, he just knows that it was burnt down. So I don't know.
Maybe it's a way to keep him pushing forward and not.
Yeah, I'm maybe it's a way to keep him distracted a bit, in the back of his head. But nevertheless, finally, in a harsh voice, she tells Robb to show them how it feels to lose what they love. Man.
At least we're getting these moments before. At least they made up and it.
Oh yeah, I'm they could not have made the moments with Robb happier before it was all taken away. Yep. Everything that happens in this episode for him is perfect. Up until the thing that is the opposite.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was trying to figure who to go for performance here. And I feel like it's between two. But I think I will go with Richard Madden here for mine. Just because of the way he reacts to all of those things that do happen to him. All of his reactions that he has are great. Whenever he has to actually be the one speaking, in the Frey house as well. I think he was very kingly this episode. Yeah. He was very he hit the role perfectly this episode. So I wanted to
I went with him. I went with him for character.
Okay,
I went with Robb Stark for character. I won't have another chance.
That's true. Yeah, this is it.
So I went ahead and gave it to him just because there were probably a couple other characters who, within this episode alone, I probably did appreciate more. But this kind of the sum of all of Robb's actions through this show came to this. He made up with his mom. Him and his wife are in a wonderful place, and bad shit happens. But he was always a good king through it all. So I appreciated Robb. I had to give him the character for this episode for all those reasons you said too. He made his amends if there were amends to be made, and it was nice to see. But him and his army arrive at the Twins, the castle seat of House Frey, for his uncle Edmure's wedding, and enduring Lord Walder Frey's insults directed at him and his wife, Robb makes a public apology to Lord Frey's daughters, Walda and Waldra and Willow and Winona.
What do you think Robb was going to do if his mom didn't hold him back there? You know, like
That's a good question. I don't know.
because you can't really go up there and kill. Well, you know, like I don't know. Maybe
I
he
think
does.
he should have.
Maybe he actually does. But like, I think I don't know.
I think he kind of reprimands him. I think he just goes like, "I am a king. You do not speak to my queen that way." You know, like
like I'll let it slide because this wedding is about, you know,
Yeah.
I won't kill you on a wedding day, but maybe I'll think about it later, you know, or something like that. But I like he had to, like, he didn't say anything, you know, but there was a lot of facial acting in that moment where he was just like,
Yeah,
all right, I'll take
good.
it in. I have to let it happen, you know, like I don't like it.
Yeah, Walder is disgusting.
Oh my god, yeah. Like, I mean, they know how to write a nasty, disgusting character. That's for sure. I mean, it's everything that comes out of his mouth is just like, oh my god, this is actually how some people thought back. You know, like these humans.
I mean, this is how some people
still
do
exist,
think.
Sadly, yeah. Like actually, these humans still exist somewhat, which is just crazy to think. That it's just like, wow, you thought that in your head and you said it out loud. Like, you know, like it's one thing to think it in your head, but it's one thing to like actually say these things out loud and be like confident behind them, you know, and like that's just how you are. That's, I don't know. That's just insane.
David Bradley plays Walder Frey, and he does a very good job at it. You want to talk about a character who makes a huge impact. I just looked at Walder Frey's little wiki page here on the fandom real quick. This man barely crosses that 5-episode threshold when he dies.
What?
He was in 6 episodes in this entire show.
Wow. That's actually crazy.
Yeah.
Very important, though. Very important times that he shows up. And it's really only because of where he lives.
Yep.
Like, if it was anything else, like, he would, I don't know, he really wouldn't matter. It's literally because of his castle.
It's literally because he holds the twins. Yeah. And then Arya wants to kill his ass.
Every, like, wiki episode, it has, like, you know, the first showings of characters, the deaths, and, like, everything. It's just all the Frey daughters of, like, the first this episode. Walda, Arwa, Dardwa, Waldra, Janet, like, all of them. And, like, I love how he kind of remembered all, you know, at least he could remember most of them.
He got to the end, and he's like, Waldra. She goes,
not
no.
even close. It wasn't like it was.
My name's Mary.
Yeah, Mary. It wasn't even close at all. But like
you got Sarah and Sarah, the twins. You could have had either or both. I don't care.
Gosh, man, yeah, just like,
disgusting, disgusting. I bet when you take all that off, everything stays right where it is.
And what a weird thing to make the actual daughter that's wedding Edmure. Like, it feels like kind of lazy to make her actually beautiful. I don't know. Like, I feel like it's like, why actually make this one daughter like beautiful? You know, is it?
I think it's disarming. I think it helps Edmure trust the situation he's in. I think it helps the Starks trust the situation they're in. He looks at Robb and goes, "I do have one pretty daughter, you know." Like, look where you could have had. It was the last little fuck you, you know? Look at that. I think it was just,
okay.
I think overall it was another tactic to disarm them, to make them feel safer than they were.
Yeah.
And,
cause like, I didn't think like of the Red Wedding. Like, I always know it as like, oh my gosh, like some of my favorite characters die here and I don't like it. But now, like, I'm thinking of it as like the like war move that happened here. Like, the Lannisters, the win that they had here is insane. Like, Robb is gone, Cat is gone, like the House Stark is gone, and then now they have Edmure married to a Frey, which, like, I guess, like, are they, like, this wedding is like its house, I guess, like, who is now the heir to the North? Like, are they planning on, like, saying that Edmure would have the right to Winterfell because now Catelyn is dead, so then it would go, you know, like, sort of thing, and then they get through that?
So the Tullys were previously pledged to the Starks.
Yeah.
Because of Catelyn's marriage to Ned. The Tullys were the seat of the Riverlands. Now Tullys and Frey are joined in house. Now the Tullys hold the Riverlands with the Freys, and therein the Lannisters have control of the Riverlands.
So yeah,
and
it's not Winterfell. It's not like
No.
There's no, because I was wondering like now, because it's believed that Bran and Rickon are dead, and then Robb is gone, Cat is gone. So like it's just Sansa, I guess now. Like that would actually be the key to the North. There's no way that it could trickle down to the Tullys because. So
I guess technically at this very moment, it is believed that Tyrion is the Warden of the North.
Dang. Yeah, because oh my god. That's why the wedding needed to happen. Like that's like so fat. Like what a man. Like yeah, the Lannisters are too good at war. You know, like getting them all drunk and happy at a wedding, all distracted. Even the army too, that's outside. You know, that's just all distracted and full. Like, yeah, we'll feed you. We'll give you whatever you need. You want to get drunk? Cool. Yeah, get drunk.
The feast over? Yeah, the feast is over. You know, like what the fuck?
Yeah, and man, what a.
Yeah, no, this is a rough one because, you know, we then go to the ceremony where that night Edmure is for the first time introduced to his bride, Rosalind Frey, on the altar, discovering much to his relief that she is in fact a beautiful lady, and the wedding and the feast that follows are quite the celebration and lively affair with all participants in high spirits. Edmure is clearly taken. He's very happy with what has happened for him. He's like, okay, whew, weight off my shoulders. We are all good. All right. And as the celebration reaches its height, Lord Walder calls for the bedding ceremony, and Robb agrees, and the bride and groom are carried off to their wedding bed. Rosalind carried by the men, and Edmure followed closely by the women. Be careful, ladies. You uncage that monster, and there's no putting him back again. Shut the fuck up, Edmure. You're a pussy.
Edmure. God, yeah, I don't know.
But it's at this point that Brynden Tully, the Blackfish, has had too much to drink and excuses himself from the celebration to find a tree to piss on.
God, thank whoever is up there in this union. We got probably the Lord of Light, one of them. I don't know. Got a death. Someone up there. This piss came at a perfect time.
Couldn't have pissed at a better time, man. Couldn't have. But I loved the little conversations that happened here. It was this very moment that I think gives us both our lines, which is kind of awesome.
Yep.
It's Catelyn talking to Lord Roose Bolton, looks and goes, "Oh, that poor girl." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sure she handled it with pride, as I'm sure you did once." And you can go ahead and deliver this line since I believe it is your favorite.
Yeah, and she says, "Oh, Ned forbade it. He said it wouldn't be right to break a man's jaw on our wedding night." Now I'm like, yeah. Right when Catelyn said that, I'm like, yeah, that's my line for the ep. I'm like, okay. And you're right. Like the ghost, the overshadowing ghost of the episode of Ned Stark, he is still here. Still
there, man.
Oh my gosh, everywhere.
Well, and then my line is when we cut from that to a conversation between Robb and Talisa, where Robb questions, do you think it's going to be a boy or a girl? And she goes, I don't know, but if it is a boy, I think I know what we should name it. And Robb goes, well, I think as the king and as the father, I deserve some say in the name. And she cuts him off and goes, Eddard.
And he's like,
and I was like, this is when it started for me.
Yeah. Yep. The tears started rolling here. Yep.
Yeah. I'm like, oh no.
Because I know, it's like, what's coming next, but you're like, what a sweet moment.
The whole episode, man. Yeah. I'm going, I can handle this. I've seen this 4 times. I can do this. This should be fine. And then this starts happening. Bro, I'm a mess. It does not get easier to watch this ever. Whenever she's like, don't you want to teach little Ned Stark how to ride horses? And he's like, I do. I was like, God fucking damn it.
You named the baby right before, I know what is, that is the first death that, that's the first death right there, and I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I'm glad that they had this moment, this, I don't know. It's such a weird. I'm glad that all these sweet moments happened right before, but also I think no, it's better that it happened this way. Yeah, because if they just would have died without thinking about that, no, it's better for them. I'm not thinking of it. Yeah.
It's better for them to have gone out. They had happy moments there at the end, which is good.
And honestly, I think that's like what kept Rob going. Like that's why he like could live so long. Like he's also like the king. He's very friendly, whatever. But he's
he had to go see Talisa was gone. Like that shit hurt. But yeah, let's go ahead and push right through.
Yeah.
After the two bride and groom leave, the festivities begin to wind down, and Catelyn notices one of Walder's sons goes on over and shuts the doors. And when he gets there, it goes silent for a moment on the music. And this is when it really was like, I got chills. I was like, oh no. And then it begins. Dun, 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 dun.
Kat's the only one there that's like, yo.
Yeah, she like looks around and is like, that's I don't like that. I don't like that one bit.
Song choice.
And they sit down, and Roose is like giddy. He can't wait. He sits there, sets his arm down. He looks at her and smiles.
Yeah.
And Walder starts addressing everybody, rises to make a toast to Rob and Catelyn. And Catelyn looks at Roose and notices. He like looks down at his arm, looks back at her, and she like lifts up his sleeve, sees the chainmail beneath, and smacks the shit out of him.
Get out of here, yeah.
And she goes, Rob, run. And by then it is too late. Lord Walder signals his men to attack, and the first to go is Talisa, as she is stabbed in the stomach numerous times by a man named Lame Lothar.
He gets baked into a pie later on and fed to his dad, so I'm alright with it.
I'm okay with it. He deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one hurt. Talisa collapses to the ground as chaos ensues. Before he can react, Rob is shot by the musicians above with crossbows several times and falls to the floor. Numerous Stark men are killed by crossbow bolts or set upon by Frey soldiers. Catelyn is shot by one of the musicians in the back and falls to the floor. Outside, Arya Stark and the Hound have arrived at the twins in disguise and are turned away by Frey guards just because, you guys can't be here right now. We're about to massacre an entire family. If you would go on your way, please, that would be very kind. And Arya goes ahead and dips on out of there before Sandor can notice and sneaks past the gate guards, only to witness Frey men kill Stark soldiers and Grey Wind, which is another one that really fucking hurt.
Like you just hear the little but then you see the
eyes shut and the last breath, man. Like that one.
But a Stark was there, At least a Stark was there. Like I don't know. Like that's kind of like the whole episode is that like if like the Starks they're going through it right now, but at least like during those moments, like even Rob turned like they were there for each other at the end, if one had to go. But a thing I kind of like didn't realize is like these crossbows that they all have. Joffrey was fond of like, hey, look at this new like this is like a new thing, like this is like Joffrey had a very nice one, but like armies didn't really have these things, and like this is like kind of the Lannisters' unveiling of crossbows, I guess, and like showing just how easy it is to massacre people, right. With them, because I think like. I'm pretty sure when Joffrey gets his, he's like, yeah, look at this new thing. Like, it's so much easier to reload. And it's like no problem. Like, I think, like, the crossbows they had before, like, you had to have a lever to reload them or whatever. But these guys were just, I think they were the same ones that Joffrey had, like, the new design. But, like,
the newfangled technology of the time.
Just sad, them pointing them all in the cage and then just...
Yeah. But another little thing that I really appreciate now, just the Lord of Light at work, is having the Hound take his time getting to the wedding.
Okay.
Whenever he's just sitting there eating pig's feet, he's like, why do you keep looking over there? It's not like they're going to fucking move. You know, like
That's
we'll get
true.
there when we get there.
Thank you, Hound, for
Yep.
just being a hungry boy, I guess, needing to eat. He's a big boy. He needs to feed. I mean, I don't know, riding a horse, that's probably for a long ways. It's probably
It
tiring.
gotta be
for a
tiresome
while.
work, but
And then, just got a whole crate full of pig. The best part, he's eating like the feet.
Yeah, the
or
pig
like
feet.
that's
It's the best part of the animal.
I don't know. I don't know if I've ever been in a I don't think I've ever had the opportunity to have pig's feet.
I think it's pretty accessible. Like, I think if you go to pretty much any not any barbecue joint, but a lot of barbecue joints, I think you can ask for pig feet and they got you. Like,
maybe I've eaten it and not known it, but like I feel like do you
no,
get it
like
and,
they
it's
look
the
the way he. Like you can tell that's a big foot.
Okay, wow, okay, yeah. I don't
think they just slice the meat off and are like,
I feel like I would have remembered that. Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, probably.
But maybe one day. But I don't know.
Maybe one day.
I don't know. Even if I want it to happen, actually, I don't know. Maybe for the Hound, just to see what it's all about. But
yeah, no, I've been a vegetarian for about 4 years now. 4 years now. So
no need.
Probably won't be happening anytime soon for me. But
fair enough. Yeah.
Maybe one day when I've given up. But Arya is obviously not okay with everything happening, so she makes a desperate run for the castle, but is stopped by the Hound, who tells her it's too late. But Arya won't stop, and Sandor has to knock her out, carrying her to safety.
And no kill list edition, but she did say to the Hound this episode, "Someday I'll put a sword through your eye and out the back of your skull." She and just
nice
went back to
there.
looking at the twins. So not any kills, but I like to add just little additions to her kill list. Like we have the Hodor counter and Arya's updating things. So, but yeah, I'm very grateful that the Hound took a little bit, took his time and then got her out of there when stuff went south.
Yeah,
and now we get their journey that they go on for quite a while. So
it was pretty good. It gets pretty good, but nevertheless, a wounded Catelyn crawls to safety beneath a table as Walder motions the soldiers to cease their slaughter. And Walder mocks Robb as he limps to his dying wife. And he holds Talisa in his arms as she dies, holding her stomach and the back of her head, and he watches the life exit. And Catelyn sees an opportunity, limps out from her hiding spot to seize Walder's young wife, and holds a knife to her throat and threatens to kill her if Walder does not negotiate an end to the attack. She says, "Let my Robb go. He is my son. We will forget this. We will not exact any vengeance. If you let him leave now, nothing will happen." And he goes, "Why would I do that?" He goes, she goes, "If you don't, I'm going to cut your wife's throat right now." And he goes, "I'll get another." And at that moment, Roose walks right up to Robb and says, "The Lannisters send their regards." After Robb stands up and
badass
utters the words, "Mother."
Yeah. Like I think, I don't know. Now rewatching this, and not just be taken by shock every time. It was. He knew. Like he knew he wasn't getting out.
He knew he was done. Yeah.
She was trying to do everything she could to save her son. Like she knew she wasn't getting out of it. And she was like, "Yeah, take me, just let she was doing anything she could just to try to get, a chance for Robb.
Mm-hmm.
But Robb is like, I know what's going, I know what's going on. I just want to see you, one last time. Like, I don't know. It was just like, oh my God. Like,
yeah, that one hurt like a motherfucker, man. And Bruce says the Lannisters send their regards and stabs him in the heart. And Robb maintains eye contact with his mother until he collapses to the floor. And mad with grief at the death of her firstborn son, Catelyn Stark cries out in anguish, cuts Walder's wife's throat, as she did swear she would, on her honor as a Tully and on her honor as a Stark. You kill him, I kill this woman. She knows this means nothing to Walter. She knows it doesn't do any good. But she did swear on her honor.
Yeah, and
so
probably
she went ahead.
Nice little thing she could
little
do.
catharsis.
Well, let it out, as well. A nice little fuck. It's not even a big of a fuck you to Walter Frey just because he doesn't care that much and it's sad, but
and it also draws this interesting contrast between Catelyn and Arya later on. Whenever Arya bakes the children into a pie and kills Walter and then kills the rest of the house, she insists that Walter's wife does not drink the wine she used to poison everybody. She's like, you didn't have shit to do with this. You're fine. Catelyn, however, is like, fuck this. I'm cutting this bitch's throat.
It's also, she did swear, and she did say
did.
It was on House Stark and Tully, so she could.
Yeah, she's like, I got to do this shit now.
She's like, well, that's on.
I ride for mines.
At that point, it's on you.
Yeah,
but I love the silence afterwards. There's
this Michelle Farrelly as Catelyn Stark was an easy choice for me, and it wasn't close. Catatonic she becomes with grief. She stands there, just staring at Robb and Talisa on the ground, accepts her fate, and it allows Black Walder to slip up behind her and cut her throat as she falls to the floor with a thud.
No
music.
And for the credits, no anything. Just, we'll let you sit there. We'll let you think about what just happened.
Yep, that was hell.
Yeah. No, not even the Reigns of Castamere. I kind of expected. I'm like, okay, the Reigns of Castamere is probably going to play in the credits. I think that every time. I think that every time. But then I'm like, nope, just pure silence. And the way that's why it's my favorite scene. It is horrible, but how well it was crafted to
so
make
good.
You feel safe. We were right there with the Starks. We felt so safe. It was just a wedding. We were getting happy and everything, happy moment. And then we see the armor. And
I remember the first time I'm watching this, just whenever Catelyn, the way it's shot, once it starts, there's a tone switch after they leave, after the bride and groom leave. Whenever Walder Frey's son walks past Catelyn and shuts the doors and she notices it, then she turns around as the music starts playing. I remember going, what's happening? What's happening right now? What are we doing? Yeah. And then the chainmail, and I've watched, I think this is my 5th viewing of this episode. I still let the credits play all the way through, and I sat there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was just like,
yeah. It's just, it's shocking every time. It gets you just on rewatch.
It's shocking even when I know exactly what's coming.
It's on one hand, you're like, okay, now these characters are really gone, and this thing I've been waiting for, it actually happened here. But then you're like, oh my god, just the implications of the what we could have had, I don't know. It's just you're thinking of just everything. It's such, I don't know. It's horrible. This is who we were rooting for. This was our A team right here, and yeah, seeing him fall, just that it's devastating every time. It only usually it only gets easier with time, but this one it's almost it just gets worse over time. It's yeah, the first time was so much more shocking, but now it's I know the more I know that the deeper connections that they had, even more
implications of this action.
And I know these characters even more. I'm more attached to them.
One of my favorite experiences with this show was getting to show Emily this show. Watching this show for the first time with someone else, you get to experience it for the first time again. And I think I told this story when Ned Stark died on our rewatch, where I'd led her the wrong way. I'd told her everything's gonna be fine, everything's all right, don't you worry about it. And then he gets his head cut off, and she cried for 15 minutes after the episode ended.
Yeah,
I gave her so much warning that something terrible was going to happen at the end of season 3. I told her, I need you to be like, because I was like, if you reacted like that to Ned, you'd be inconsolable at the end of season 3. I was like, okay, I want to let you know. We were finishing season 2, and I was like, I didn't tell her the end of season 3. I told her just in season 3, there is something that happens that is so much worse than when Ned died.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to tell you what, not going to tell you who, not going to tell you why. But you need to be ready because that is coming. So, as the season goes on, she catches on to what would be the most devastating.
Mm-hmm.
She's like we got to a certain point in season 3. We were like, I can't remember if it's a couple episodes, like if it's last episode or if it was at the beginning of this episode where she goes like, is it Rob? And I was like, I don't know. And she knows if I say I don't know that's a yes.
It's
you
tough.
know, like I can't.
It's tough. Yeah, what do you do? I don't know, but
and so she was ready. She was ready for Rob to die. That was it.
Yeah. But there's
more. She wasn't ready for Catelyn to die, Talisa to die, their son to die. And so that was still a rough one. One of those ones where you just sat there with the credits rolling for a second.
Even if you know Rob's coming, like if you just have a suspicion, like, oh, does Rob die? You could be like, well, that could still be a battle. He's a king. Like it could be in some other. The way that it happens is like the most shocking. That's like his death. Like now thinking of it, we should have been not as comfortable with him. Like he is a king in a war right now. He is public enemy number 1 for everyone who's not on his side. Mm-hmm. So like in reality, we should have been like, yeah, he could die any episode, but we felt just so safe because we wanted, we were on his side like fully. So just it's the way that it happens. That's like the bad part. I bet if you told me at the very beginning of the show, like, hey, Rob dies at some point, prepare. I still think I'm a mess. Like,
well, and they've also done a good job of establishing what the laws of gods and men are. They've mentioned throughout the show that if you accept someone into your home and you feed them and you have a celebration and you kill them, you are irredeemable. You have done the worst thing you can do. It's worse than anything else. They've established that. They've said that on a couple occasions. So like even if you're not consciously thinking that, you're going, they're at a wedding. What can happen?
Oh, a lot can happen.
Oh, a lot can fucking happen. So let's give this bad boy a rating. What do you say? Enjoyment. Don't enjoy it a whole lot, but it makes me feel a whole lot of things. I'm going to have to go 10. Genre-wise, again, firing on all cylinders here. Gonna have to go 10. Critical, goddamn close to as perfect as you can get. Have we given an episode a 10?
I think it was only... No. House of the Dragon. No, we did. Episode 8, Lord of the Tides. We gave a 10. It was
a good fucking episode. In season 1 of House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon, but then as far as Game of Thrones, we have not given a critical 10. The highest we have given looks like a 9.75 for Baylor. And then 9.5, The Prince of Winterfell, season 2, episode 8. Looks like the 2 highest.
All right.
And then yeah. Oh, and then this season, we gave 9.5s to episode 4 and 5 of this season. So, is it up with Baylor level?
Yeah,
9.75. I think. Yeah, it's. I don't.
That's my floor. Like this is the only one I'm considering giving a 10.
Yeah, and because like the Red Wedding, everything with the Starks is handled to perfection. Like that is kind of without a doubt to me. And like
that's my only hang up when it comes to elevating it to a 10 is that like it's a well shot episode and everything, but it's not like a perfect looking episode. Like Baylor, That was a good looking episode. I remember the way that episode looked. This was well shot, but the only thing that like stands out to me is the tension they build.
Yeah.
Like they did so, like, through their visuals and through the sound design, they did incredible. So I think I'm willing to put it on the same level. I don't think I can elevate it above Baylor, but I think 9.75 is where I'd fall.
Yeah. Then on there, which it ties it overall with Baylor as well, because we gave that a 10 and 10 in enjoyment and genre as well. And I think that's definitely our highest out of all of them. The next, it's like 9.75, 9.83 was episode 4 of this season, actually. So yeah, but tied for first place, and that feels right. This is, if you're looking at this show and you're just remembering back episodes, this is probably one of the first ones that comes to your mind. Like, if you're just thinking of the show in general, this is like, this is the episode, one of the episodes. And we did it. The Band-Aid is off. We have done it. We've passed the threshold. Now Danny's just going to go on a tear.
It's all uphill from here. There's still some bad shit, but there's never anything that's this devastating again.
Yeah. We'll get John to die one time, but he comes back. He does, so that's all good. Arya just keeps becoming more badass and more badass. Sansa the same. So,
Sansa goes through some shit though.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you got it. Yeah, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and that should be the Stark motto. Because man, they seem to go through it all the time. All of them. Not one of them gets it easy. Rickon maybe, but he still meets his end in a non-favorable way. So
I'd argue that while Rickon has a relatively easy existence in terms of not having to fight all the fucking time, there's no way this kid isn't the most depressed Stark.
That's fair. Yeah, he's just like, yeah,
he's going through the shit that the kid in House of the Dragon went through. I can't remember if it was I think it was one of Laenor and Rhaenyra's kids, who's like, well, if I'm Lord of the Driftmark, that means everybody else is fucking dead.
Yeah.
Like that's Rickon right now.
And he just wants siblings to play with too. Like, he just wants his family. He doesn't even really care about he doesn't care about that. He's just like a kid right now that just like needs his brothers and sisters and his family. Yeah, it's like, poor little Rick. Yeah, everyone just has it bad in the Stark family. But at least they're all honorable, till the very end.
They're the good guys. Oh, man. Yeah, no, I'm glad we got here. I'm glad we got through it.
So much more. Like, this rewatch has just been so rewarding. Like, this is so like good. My favorite rewatch of this show. Like, just getting every little detail and like still being shocked at like some story. Like, at just, I know these things are gonna happen, and it's just, but like it's just been so long that I don't know how exactly they carry out. But I'm still like, wow, yeah, it's just written so well that it's a joy to watch no matter what. Even if I know the scene 100%, or if it's something that I'm actually kind of experiencing for the first time, in air quotes, again, just because I didn't remember it. But yeah, this one's been ingrained in the brain for quite a while, at least the end. So I will put, in parentheses for my scene, the Red Wedding for. But I just had no. I don't. Now we talked about it. Now we don't have to anymore. So I'll leave it at that. But man, was it just the suspense building and everything was just crafted perfectly.
Another of note bit of trivia here. This is the first episode that did not feature a Lannister.
Oh my God, that's right. We didn't get a single one. We only got Daenerys and the Starks, and that's, I guess, Sam and Gilly, as well. Wow, we got the good, kind of like the good guy. It was only the good guys this episode.
Indeed. Yeah, I'm
no
trying to see.
Lannisters.
I
Wow.
believe it was the first episode that Tyrion was not featured in.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the first episode Tyrion wasn't featured in. And there's only 5 more of those throughout the entire show.
Dang.
2 of them are next season, and 2 of them are in season 6. So he's in every episode except 6 of them.
That's my dude. Yeah, was man. Rob until now.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Rob. Rest in peace to Lisa. Rest in peace, Catelyn Stark. Y'all were real ones. But we push forth, and man, it's going to be interesting. We will. That has been for 29 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That's another interesting way to frame the rewatch, is how much time we are spending with these characters. For over half a year, we have been discussing Robb Stark and everything he's going through.
I guess it is in real time. These episodes do release weekly, but we just have no gaps in between the seasons. So it's like we don't get that year or so whatever gap in between to sit on it. We're just going right back into it. Yeah, it's but man, just taking it weekly does make it so much better, though. You know,
it's been over 6 months we've been doing this.
And I mean, that's the thing. The show has that much detail where you can break it down this much. It's kind of crazy to other shows just simply don't have this much to break down. You know, every week.
They do not, man. They do not. But I guess that concludes this episode of Winter is Blooming. The hard part is over. The dog days are over. We are now on to higher highs. We will never reach a lower low. So praise be, we're done. This is all good. But we will conclude season 3 next week and begin season 4 the week after that. We're only going to keep the foot on the gas, Every week I keep going, there comes a point whenever I start getting excited about planning other projects and I get excited about doing other stuff where I'm like, man, we got Game of Thrones on Mondays. That spot's occupied. I can't do anything with it. And I'm like, I kind of wish I could, though. And then I watch an episode of Game of Thrones and I'm like, God, never mind. I don't fucking wish I could do anything with that spot. This fucking rocks.
Every week it's so nice. It's it's such just every episode. It's such it's usually my Sunday. I usually, I do try to keep it a very weekly thing, kind of Sunday evening television. And it is just a treat every single time.
But so this is Winter is Blooming. We've got a lot of stuff on the docket for us. We are unfortunately putting a pause on our Wednesday show for now. We were doing the Ahsokast to get us all excited for the Ahsoka series, but it started to feel more like a task than it did a fun thing we got to do. So whenever that happens, we typically set it aside. We plan for stuff that might be more fun for us. And we will return to the Ahsokast eventually, as our Star Wars coverage will not conclude. There is a chance our Star Wars coverage becomes primarily Patreon-based, as far as new TV shows and stuff like that. I don't think that when it comes to the numbers, whenever I'm looking at the amount of downloads we get and the amount of listens our episodes get, I think our Star Wars stuff gets lost in all the noise. There's a lot of Star Wars podcasts, a lot of podcasts that are dedicated to nothing but Star Wars. And I think that people usually go there for their Star Wars coverage. But for those of you who do come to us for our Star Wars coverage, I appreciate you. I love you very much. But when Ahsoka comes out this fall, there's a really good chance that's going to be Patreon exclusive. Mostly because what we're going to try to shift over to is more movie coverage. I miss the 52-year journey through film. I love our comic book movie journey through film. But the schlock that comes with that genre gets a little bit repetitive sometimes. So, we want to branch out. We want to do a lot of things. And And so one thing that we've got working right now, we're not sure when we're going to start it, but with Wednesdays open, it could be any week now. Director's Spotlight Show, where we spend a stretch of 4 weeks movies by single directors. For example, if we wanted to do a Wes Anderson run, we could discuss, Moonrise Kingdom, Grand Budapest Hotel, French Dispatch, and Fantastic Mr. Fox, all in the stretch of 4 weeks. And I kind of want to keep it like that. We do it in installments of 4. Feels nice and even, nice little, a little chunk. It could be a lot of fun. One thing that I don't want to do with that is, when it comes to directors like Spielberg and Ridley Scott, we've covered a lot of their movies.
Mm-hmm.
We've covered Raiders, we've covered Jaws, we've covered Jurassic Park. When it comes to Ridley Scott, we've covered American Gangster and Gladiator and Blade Runner. So when it comes to directors like that, we'd only cover movies we haven't discussed. With Spielberg, we'd take it over to, Close Encounters of the Third Kind and fucking Ready Player One and West Side Story, Fableman, shit like that. We'd take it to other stuff that we haven't discussed. Because no sense in revisiting the stuff that we've already gone over. And so we're not sure when that's going to start. We're not sure who we're going to start with, but just wanted to give everyone a heads up that our TV coverage on the main show, on the flagship show, is most likely going to just be Game of Thrones and HBO television going forward. Simply because that pushes the numbers forward. Like I said, the discussion on Star Wars and Marvel will not stop when it comes to the new releases. That will just be on Patreon because I do love discussing it.
Mm-hmm.
I will not stop discussing it. I fucking adore it. So but when it comes to the numbers, they're just not reflecting well when it comes to that stuff. So, it's on you, not me. But yeah, so if you would, for all of that, go to patreon.com/pennybloom.pod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content. I've begun writing once again, and I'm trying my best to get something out there weekly in terms of writing. I just did a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 review, spoiler-free, that's up there for you. About to do another installment of my First Viewings project, which is very, very fun. For $3 a month, you can support this podcast financially. It helps me a lot because it costs me money, and I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. And like I said, that's where Star Wars and Marvel coverage is going to primarily be. That's just in terms of the weekly television show sort of thing. Just because that's going to be over there doesn't mean that stuff like our top 100s and our rankings and stuff like that stuff, that'll still go here. That still pushes the numbers up. People love listening to that, the one and done, pop in, pop out sort of stuff. That does get our numbers up quite a bit. So I can't wait for that. I'm excited for you guys to hear all that. But when it comes to Ahsoka this fall, you're probably going to be heading to Patreon. We haven't nailed that down for sure, but just want to give everyone a warning. Head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram at PennyBloomPodcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rate and review wherever it is that you might be listening. And remember, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And the Lannisters send their regards.